Throughout combat sports, there is some mouth-watering matchups that we are yet to see, that the public has been denied of, that we absolutely must see in the year 2023.
The year 2022 coughed up some of the biggest and most exciting UFC fights that have been witnessed in recent MMA history. From start to finish, it seemed like every fight the UFC seemed to put together was going to be bonkers. There was the Adesanya and Pereira bout, which saw the once dominant champ get handed his first middleweight defeat and first ever MMA stoppage loss. The Usman and Edwards fight that brought about arguably the greatest upset in the sport's history.
The odds that I couldn't do it! Look at me now!
Islam Makachev finally achieving his long-term championship potential by submitting Charles Oliviera. And we saw two OGs in the fight game of Nate Diaz and Tony Ferguson slugging it out in the octagon. And with 2023 still in its infancy, here are our top 5 biggest fights to make this year. Conor McGregor versus Micheal Chandler. If ever a potential matchup spelled out the word violence and exciting to a T, then Conor McGregor making his return against Micheal Chandler is certainly that matchup. With both men currently on losing streaks, and arguably as far away from title contention as they've ever been in the last decade, it is without a doubt the fight to make. Over the years, both Conor and Chandler have garnered a reputation for flying and out of the blocks with wild and powerful shots, intending to end the fight as quickly as possible. Take Conor's sniper right hand against Jose Aldo within 13 seconds. And Chandler flattening out Dan Hooker after barely 2 minutes of the first round of their fight. It becomes pretty evident that both men waste no time in trying to land their big shots. And however long or short the fight may last, it is sure to be filled with epic fireworks. Coupled with the fact that both men are two of the biggest stars and PPV draws in the sport, this potential matchup becomes all the more compulsory. Sean O'Malley versus Marlon Vera II. The UFC bantamweight division has been on a massive upward rise since 2016. Now more than ever, the division is stacked with a host of elite athletes at every turn, with each of them capable of turning up with massive exciting fights. And if exciting fights are what you're looking for, then the match between Marlon Cheeto Vera and Sean Suga Show O'Malley is certainly the fight to make. Having already fought once with Cheeto winning amidst controversial circumstances, this rematch has been on the offing since their first bout ended, and 2023 would be the perfect time to run back to these elite bantam weights. Both men are highly entertaining fighters with 28 finishes between them, and have won a combined 8 fights since their matchup in 2020 to position themselves right in line for a crack at the 135-pound title. So given both men's super exciting fighting style, with the immense stakes involved in this matchup, making this matchup in 2023 should be a no-brainer for the UFC. Aljamain Sterling versus Henry Cejudo. Coming in third of our list is another bantamweight matchup that further signifies the ever-growing importance of the division to the UFC today. But this time the stakes are a lot higher, as it involves the bantamweight champion of the world, Aljamain Sterling, and one of the best martial artists to ever grace the octagon, Henry Cejudo. Aljamain Sterling is perhaps one of the most controversial fighters in the UFC and MMA today, ever since his controversial victory over Peter Yan in 2021. The man has attracted a lot of bad press, with many fans and fighters alike claiming that he doesn't deserve to be the champion, even with a stellar MMA record of 22 wins and just 3 losses.
Aljamain Sterling, honestly, that was lucky, because he was going to lose the fight. It seemed like he was going the wrong direction.
But what better way to change that reputation than to defeat a modern MMA great in Henry Cejudo? Henry Cejudo is certainly not immune to being bashed by the MMA community, but in stark contrast to Sterling, it is not because of his MMA credentials. The man has beaten 3 MMA greats in Demetrius Johnson, TJ Dillashaw, and Dominic Cruz, all in spectacular fashion. So it is certain that a potential fight between Aljo and Triple C is sure to be fireworks. Khamzat Chimaev versus Shavkat Rakhmonov. Just missing out on our pick for the most exciting potential matchups in 2023 is Khamzat Chimaev taking on Shavkat Rakhmonov for, of course, the UFC welterweight title. We might probably not get this fight in 2023, but if and when we do, we're looking at an all-time classic on our hands. Khamzat Chimaev had another year to remember following victories against Gilbert Burns and Kevin Holland that has taken him even closer towards his long-term goal of attaining UFC gold. His stock and star power has risen to an all-time high, and he has evidently gotten better and better. But one man lurking in the shadows that seems to possess all the necessary qualities to give Khamzat his toughest ever test is Shavkat Rakhmonov, an undefeated welterweight contender with 16 wins and a staggering 100% finish rate. Khamzat could very well be the kryptonite for Chimaev. He is an elite fighter with fantastic striking and grappling in equal measure, and one more win against a top 5 welterweight could very well place him in Chimaev's line of sight. With both undefeated fighters just entering their respective physical primes and seemingly getting better with each passing fight, we could be looking at a potential welterweight matchup for the ages. Francis Ngannou versus Jon Jones. Capping off our list of the top 5 fights to be made in 2023 is a battle of two titans, two of MMA's biggest ever stars and personalities, Jon Jones and Francis Ngannou. 3 years after his last fight against Dominic Reyes, it finally seems that Jon Jones will finally be making his long-awaited return to the UFC octagon, and this time in the heavyweight division. After dominating the 205s for more than a decade and eventually attaining GOAT status, it only seemed fitting that he would try to conquer the heavyweight division, and what better way to attempt to do that than against the Predator Francis Ngannou. Arguably the most terrifying fighter to have ever graced the octagon, Francis Ngannou is any fighter's nightmare. His superhuman speed, combined with an insane ability to finish a fight within seconds, has set him on a one-way course towards heavyweight royalty, and adding a victory over Jon Jones to his already outstanding resume is sure to cement his place as one of the greats. It is a fight that is certain to generate fireworks from the moment it is official till when both men set foot in the octagon. Regardless of the outcome, this fight would be one for MMA folklore. So this brings an end to our video today. 2022 brought a new level of excitement to the UFC with a lot of bulletproof matchups at every turn. And if the above 5 fights are anything to go by, 2023 could do even better with new champions, potential upsets, and potential MMA classics all on the horizon. So let's sit back and grab a popcorn and take in all that 2023 has to offer.